This is Lauren Clifton. I'm doing my second extra credit video for Professor Langford's Anatomy and Physiology class, and I'm in 2401.001. Okay, so we're going to do it over the bones of the skull. Okay, right here you have your frontal bone, you have your parietal bone, you have your temporal bone. You can also see your parietal bone and your temporal bone over here. And you have your sphenoid bone, which is here, as well as here. You have your nasal bone, your vomer bone. You have your zygomatic bone, which is here and here. Okay. You have, which is hard to see in this picture, your ethmoid bone, as well as your lacrimal bone. Right here you have the infraorbital foramen. This is your maxilla. This is the mandible. On your mandible you have the mental foramen. Right here is the mandibular symphysis. Inside here is the inferior nasal concha. This is the supraorbital foramen. The middle here is the glabella. Okay, and moving on to the next picture. This is the inferior view of the skull with the mandible removed. So this entire portion here is the hard palate. It consists of the maxilla, which is here. It also is here. And this here is the palatine bone. Also on this view of the skull, you can see the vomer bone, as well as the zygomatic bone, the temporal bone. This here is the mandibular fossa. This that sticks up is the styloid process. This is the mastoid process. You can see your parietal bone. This is your foramen magnum. This is the occipital condyle. Here you have the external occipital crest. You can also see your jugular foramen, the carotid canal, the foramen ovale, and you can see your sphenoid bone. And then you can see your infraorbital foramen. Also on your hard palate you can see the incisive fossa. Okay, so we're gonna go to the other two views of the skull, and I'm gonna pass it to Hailee.
I am Hailee Fenley. I am in Langford's Anatomy and Physiology class, section 2401.081, and I'm going to do this view of the skull. This is your frontal bone, and then here is your parietal bone. They are connected by this zigzaggedy line, which is called your coronal suture. And then down here, the back of your head is called your occipital bone. It is connected right here by the rhomboid suture. And here you have your temporal bone, and it is connected by this zigzaggy line called the squamous suture. Down here you have your mandible, and on it you have your mandibular notch right there, and then right here is the mandibular ramus. This pointy bone right here is your condylar process, and inside here you have your external acoustic meatus, and here is your maxilla and your nasal bone. And inside your eye, which you can't really see here, you have your ethmoid bone, your lacrimal bone, and your lacrimal fossa, which is all in that eye area. Right here you have your zygomatic bone, and then this that goes across is your zygomatic process. I'm now moving on to the internal anatomy of the inferior portion of the skull. And right here, this makes up your ethmoid bone, and it has your crystal galli and the cribriform plate. And then this big whole area is your foramen magnum. Back here is your occipital bone, and then here's your parietal bone. And then right here, this square area is your hypophyseal fossa of the sella tertia. And here's your temporal bone in there. And let's see. You have your greater wing and lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. And let's see. This is your posterior cranial fossa. This is your middle cranial fossa, and this is your anterior cranial fossa. And that is that.